Now, while you're watching this, somewhere in your head, a memory is being rewritten, not deleted, not corrupted by accident. Rewritten on purpose by the very organ you trust the most to tell you the truth about your own life. And the strange part? You'll never notice it happening, because the version it hands you back always feels exactly like the original. Most people think memory works like a video file. You leave something, it gets recorded, and later you press play and watch it again. Maybe a little blurry, but fundamentally the same footage. That model is comforting. It's also almost completely wrong. Your brain doesn't store memories as finished recordings. It stores fragments, a smell here, a shape there, an emotional charge somewhere else, scattered across different regions. Every time you remember something, your brain isn't retrieving a file. It's reconstructing a scene from parts, live, in real time, like an artist repainting the same picture from memory of memory. And here's where it gets interesting. Painting from memory always introduces small changes, a slightly different brushstroke, a color that drifts warmer or cooler. Do that enough times across enough years, and the picture you end up with can look completely different from the first one, while you remain 100% convinced it's identical. Neuroscientists have a name for this process: memory reconsolidation. Here's the mechanism, simplified. When a memory is just sitting in storage, untouched, it's relatively stable, like dry clay. But the moment you recall it, the moment you bring it back into conscious awareness, that memory becomes chemically unstable again. It softens. For a window of time, roughly lasting a few hours, that memory is basically wet clay, open to being reshaped. During that window, whatever is happening around you, your current mood, new information you encounter, other people's version of the story, even the emotional state you're in while remembering, all of that can get folded into the memory before it hardens back into long-term storage. Then it resolidifies. Not as the original, as a new version. A version that now includes traces of this moment, layered on top of the original moment. And the next time you recall it, the same thing happens again. And again! Every single recollection is a small act of re-editing. Think about a memory you've told many times, a childhood story, a big argument, the moment you met someone important. You've probably told that story out loud a dozen times, maybe more. Each time you told it, you didn't play back the original event. You played back your last telling of it. Which means the version you're sharing today isn't a copy of what happened, it's a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, each one drifting slightly further from the source. It's the memory equivalent of a photocopier making a copy of a copy of a copy. The image technically still looks like a face, but the edges have smudged. The contrast has shifted, and somewhere along the way, small details have quietly been swapped out for other, similar feeling details your brain found more convenient, more flattering, or more consistent with who you believe yourself to be today. This is why siblings can argue passionately about what really happened during the same childhood event, and both be completely sincere. Neither one is lying. They're both accurately reporting a memory that has been edited, honestly, by a brain that didn't mean any harm. This isn't just a curiosity about birthday parties and old arguments. It has consequences that have put innocent people in prison. Eyewitness testimony is treated in courtrooms as some of the strongest evidence available. A person looked at a face, and later pointed at that same face. Confident, certain, convincing. But confidence was never proof. Confidence is just a feeling, and it's a feeling that reconsolidation can manufacture from nothing. Every time a witness is interviewed, re-interviewed, shown photos, asked leading questions, or exposed to media coverage of the case, their memory of the suspect enters that same unstable, moldable window and gets reshaped slightly by whatever information is in the room at the time. Researchers studying wrongful convictions have found that mistaken eyewitness identification is involved in a majority of cases where someone was later exonerated by DNA evidence. Not because witnesses were lying, because their memories had been quietly, invisibly reconsolidated into something that felt exactly as real as the truth, while no longer matching it. It goes even further. Memory doesn't just drift on its own. It can be actively implanted. In a well-known line of memory research, participants were told a false story about something that supposedly happened to them as a child, something that never occurred, just through repeated suggestion and imagination exercises. A meaningful percentage of participants didn't just believe the false event happened, they began adding their own vivid, sensory details to it. Details nobody suggested to them. Their brain filled in the gaps and handed them back a memory, complete with its own invented texture, as if it were real. If a memory that never happened at all can feel this convincing, imagine how much easier it is to quietly distort a memory of something that did happen, just a little. Here's the twist most people don't expect. This same instability that makes memory unreliable is also, potentially, one of the most promising tools we have for treating trauma. If a traumatic memory can be softened during recall and then rewritten with new information before it rehardens, then, in a therapeutic setting, that's an opportunity. Some approaches to treating PTSD and phobias work by intentionally reactivating a distressing memory in a safe, controlled context and then introducing new, calmer information during that unstable window so that when the memory reconsolidates, it reconsolidates with less emotional charge attached to it. The same mechanism that can wrongly convict an innocent person can also, carefully applied, help someone finally get a full night's sleep after years of a memory that used to ambush them. It's not that memory is broken. It's that memory was never designed to be an archive. It was designed to be useful, adaptable, and current, even at the cost of being accurate. Which raises the real question, why would evolution build a memory system this unreliable? Because perfect accuracy was never the goal. Usefulness was the goal. A brain that kept every memory frozen exactly as it first happened would be dragging around an enormous, rigid archive of outdated information, including all the outdated conclusions you drew from it. Updating memories with new context lets you keep your understanding of people, threats, and yourself current. The friend who hurt you once doesn't stay frozen forever as the person who hurt me. Your memory of them gets to update as your relationship evolves. That's not a bug. That's your brain trying to keep you emotionally and socially functional in a world that keeps changing. The cost is simply this. The story you tell about your own life is less a historical record and more a living document, constantly being re-edited by the author who is, right now, you. So here's something worth sitting with. That memory you're 100% sure about, the exact words in that argument, the precise way that relationship ended, the version of your childhood you've told so many times it feels carved in stone. It isn't stone. It's clay that's been reshaped every single time you touched it. That doesn't mean nothing happened. It means the confident, vivid, emotionally certain version living in your head today is a collaboration between what actually happened and every single time you've remembered it since. Next time you catch yourself absolutely certain about how something went down, pause for 1 second and ask a different question. Not did this happen. Ask, am I remembering the event or am I remembering the last time I remembered it? If this rewired the way you think about your own memory, follow because there's a lot more your brain does without asking your permission first.